Hello, welcome to FHE on the Road with Christine Stevenson. This podcast is designed to connect the people and the places from the past with your lives today, with 5-minute stories and facts from church history. Save these stories for when you are traveling through these areas to bring history to life. Okay, welcome back to FHE on the Road with Christine. Today I have one more story about the Saratoga Springs, Utah temple, and I think the story is incredible. Hopefully you like it too. So a couple of years ago, the youth in our ward had the chance to go to the Saratoga Springs, Utah temple before it was finished and sit outside the temple and hear from the temple building missionaries. And that's where I got these stories. So I didn't know that the temple building missionaries were a thing. So what these missionaries do is they're called to help supervise the building process of the Saratoga Springs temple, and the husband had his contractor's license from previous jobs, but they were really surprised at getting this call. They said through this assignment, the missionary couple had many things they were in charge of. They would oversee the building process and write down the history of what occurred during the temple building time, and they also gave tours to youth groups and other groups that came to learn. And so that's where we came in. But it was so fun listening to these missionaries. This couple in particular was so awesome. They really got the youth excited about temples and the miracles that are temples and how wonderful it is to be alive during this great temple building period of the world and the importance of their work in God's plan. So it was really, really great. I really loved it. The story that I told last week of the blue stone, that was one of the stories that they told us. And this was the second miracle that they told us. And I'm calling it the storm miracle. And it is so cool. What they shared is that when the Saratoga temple was being built, they didn't quite have the roof finished of the Saratoga Springs temple when storms would come in. They started building the inside of the temple before the temple roof was done. It was causing all sorts of problems. They were really, really working hard to get the roof done, but they also were under a time crunch trying to get this temple ready to be dedicated. And so they were working on the inside, but every time a storm would come, it would just create a huge mess. So they said what was happening is that on the top of the roof, the way that the roof was being finished, then it would create a funnel and all the water would be funneled into the top room of the temple. So basically it sounds like without that finished layer, then everything was going into one spot. And that one spot is the top of the temple, which would lead right into the celestial room. They were working so hard to finish that roof quickly, but every rainstorm would pull all their attention to cleaning up the mess. And all the people were needed to fix the problem of every single rainstorm. And so it was causing so many delays and lots of frustration. So all the water would funnel into the celestial room, and with every storm, the temple construction workers would work to stop the water from leaking into all different parts of the temple and the rooms beneath. And it was a huge mess. They would get shop vacs and do whatever they could to keep the water contained as quickly as possible, and they were just so scared of the next storm. And so here's where it gets crazy. After struggling with this problem on multiple occasions, the temple builders decided to pray for the temple to be protected from the rainstorms that were in the forecast. It was monsoon season in Utah. I didn't know that was a thing, and I've lived in Utah for a long time, but it turns out during that time of year, there's tons of big storms in the Saratoga Springs area. At the same time as the monsoon time in Utah, the members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints were praying and fasting for more rain as this was going on with the Saratoga Springs temple. So it'd be pretty hard, right? We're praying for rain, and the Saratoga Springs temple workers are praying for it not to get hit with rain. So if the Saratoga Springs temple would be hit by another storm, it would set back the temple building process for another month, is what they kind of estimated. And so they were really concerned. They really wanted to finish this temple and have it ready to be in use. And the construction missionary said the construction workers would have to replace the drywall and start over in every room after the rainstorms would come in. So it was really, really hard. So one day, the weather forecast showed a large storm coming to the Saratoga Springs area, and the temple missionaries said he saw the storm coming right at the temple, just a huge, massive storm. It looked like a wall of water headed straight towards them, and it was going to cause all sorts of problems for this unfinished temple. All the construction workers were extremely concerned about the effects of the storm, the effects that it would have on the temple, and it could set back the temple for weeks, like we said. This is so cool. The Lord heard the prayers of the workers and the Saratoga Springs residents, because right before the storm came to the temple site, the storm split in two, and the giant wall of water broke into two walls of water, and it went on each side of the temple, missing the temple completely and answering their prayers. Isn't that incredible? It was simply a miracle. The construction workers and the temple missionaries witnessed the power of God that day. The storm was the biggest storm of the year, and it miraculously missed the Saratoga Springs temple. The building of the temple was able to go on without redoing the work they had already done, and the prayers of the faithful had been answered, both those praying for water and those praying to help the Saratoga Springs temple not have water damage. Isn't that so amazing? Other people in the area recounted being there for the storm, also seeing the storm split in two and missing the temple. One recounted how odd it was to witness. It was a strange way for any storm to act. End of quote. All the missionaries and construction workers could not believe what they were seeing and knew it came from our loving Heavenly Father. The Lord knows what needs to be done, and through our prayers, our will aligns with His. The Lord showed the people of the area answers to their prayer, and the progress of the temple was able to go on. I thought that was so incredible. I love how our Heavenly Father works, and I love the miracles that He shows us. So this is President Nelson spoke on miracles in April 2021 conference, and he said, "Many of you have witnessed miracles, more than you realize. They may seem small in comparison to Jesus raising the dead, but the multitude does not distinguish a miracle, only that it comes from God. Some suggest that miracles are simply coincidences or sheer luck, but the prophet Nephi condemned those who would, quote, put down the power and miracles of God and preach up unto themselves their own wisdom and their own learning that they may get gain." End of quote. And then President Nelson goes on, "Miracles are wrought by divine power, by Him who is mighty to save. Miracles are an extension of God's eternal plan, and miracles are a lifeline from heaven to earth." And President Nelson asked for the members of the church to look for miracles every day. He promised that we would see more. The Lord has promised us miracles, and they're all around us. So this Saratoga Springs miracle is just one of a million examples of miracles that we can see every single day. Miracles can help remind us that we are eternal beings with eternal relationships. It's wonderful to hear how the Lord helped the progress of the Saratoga Springs temple. These miracles are like messages directly from heaven, from a loving Heavenly Father, letting us know that He is aware of our efforts and He's always there to help. And I loved listening to these missionaries of the Saratoga Springs, Utah temple. I loved hearing these stories. I think it's so incredible. To me, I think they're huge miracles. To see that storm split in two and go right by the temple, like that is undeniably from our Heavenly Father. And two huge walls of water. I've been in storms that look and feel like that, and to have it split and have the temple be preserved and not set back the construction timeline so that we can get over there and use that temple. I love that Heavenly Father heard and answered those prayers and the prayers of all the people praying for water. So it's so interesting because you think people are praying for it and people are praying for it not to happen. But I love that Heavenly Father answered both of the prayers of the righteous, the ones praying for it and the ones praying for it not to hit the temple. And I think it is so incredible to see these miracles. I love how Heavenly Father works. Anyways, hopefully you like this story too. I thought it was amazing. Thanks. Thank you for listening to FHE on the road today. We hope you enjoyed what you've heard. Please like, subscribe, and share with anyone who'd be interested in these stories. Thanks.